So we have a packed agenda for us here today. To kick us off, we will have Raul, the Polkadot Council member, give a high-level update of all the major referenda and motions and governance proposals we've had this past month on both networks for both Polkadot and Kusama. We will have Darwinia joining us today to talk about their first light client-based ETH substrate cross-chain asset bridge. We will have Equilibrium joining us here today to talk about their closed beta and what's next for Equilibrium. We have Origin Trail on the call with us today to talk about their project Magnify. We have Turn joining us to talk about light clients and the future of trustless bridging. So definitely you see a pattern here with light clients and bridging today. We have Ambassador Zoe joining us here today to talk about the Polkadot Events Bounty and how you can use it. And we have Bifrost and Moonbeam joining us together to talk about their XCM integration and the derivatives they're launching on Moonbeam. Or actually on Moonbeam and Bifrost, excuse me. So without further ado, since we have such a jam-packed agenda, let's kick it off with Raul. I also want to remind everyone here in the lower right-hand corner, since the agenda will be packed today, there won't be time at the end probably to take questions. So if you have questions while the speakers are speaking, do hit this box or purple circle thing on the lower right-hand corner and put your questions there, and I will be checking as speakers are talking and make sure to ask your questions before they leave the stage, so to speak. So without further ado, let's hand it over to Raul.
Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me okay. Yes?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Because I was having some issues, I'm sorry. So, good day to everyone. I hope you're having a good day. I'm here to give you the latest changes on proposals on both Kusama and Polkadot network. As always, I will start by Kusama, then move to Polkadot, and I will divide each network on governance proposals and treasury proposals. So let's start with Kusama first. On Kusama, we have quite the month because referendum 244, which was already executed, upgraded the runtime, the network runtime to version 9320. This upgrade included open governance, which is the new model for governance that we're experimenting with on Kusama before moving on to Polkadot. There's still some adjustments to be done, especially on some of the parameters for each of the tracks that the community can now propose proposals on and vote simultaneously, and some other adjustments regarding some issues with migrations, particularly with two approved proposals that came from as a legacy from Governance 1, one from Genshiro, one from Kintsugi, which the council will be voted on soon to make sure that they get executed as the community wanted. But other than that, open governance seems to be working quite nicely. We need to adjust some things, so congratulations to everyone who participated on the referendum 244 vote. On other news, there is some updates on the state mine collators setup. Motion 577, which was executed, reduced the collators managed by the state mine team from 4 to 2 and increased the public collators from 4 to 8. And then a follow-up motion, motion 580, which was also executed, also further increased the state mine public collators from 8 to 12. So this means that now public collators can also participate on the state mine network collation. Referendum 243, which was also executed, extended Encointer's common good list for 48 more weeks. So congratulations to the team for that, and thank you to the community for voting in this particular proposal. Regarding treasury proposals on Kusama, motion 573, which was also approved by the council, funded the development of Kusamint. Kusamint is a development kit for NFT artists, collection makers, and the Kusama community in general. It provides different tools to mint and manage NFTs with ease. So congratulations to the team, and we're looking forward to the first deliverables deliverables and how to use them. There's also an external motion that was approved by the council and will be put up for vote by the community soon as a legacy of Governance 1. This is the Treasury Proposal 227 for Kagome C++ implementation. The Kagome C++ implementation the team aims to cover the first milestone development of Kagome, which is a Polkadot host written in C++ and developed by Soramitsu. It will be up for vote by the community soon on the Democracy tab under the Governance 1 model, since it's an external queue. So we will announce it on the Direction channel so the community can vote for the normal period of time on Kusama. The goal of the proposal is to complete the client integration on the Polkadot and Kusama ecosystem and allow node operators to run Kagome as validating nodes. So we're looking forward to that vote as well. And then as the last one on Treasury proposals on Kusama, we're excited to say that referendum number 1, which is the first Treasury proposal up for vote on the open governance model, is now up for vote by the community. This is a Treasury proposal for the Snowbridge funding development. Snowbridge is a fully trustless, permissionless, and general purpose bridge between Kusama, Polkadot, and Ethereum. The bridge will launch, as we know, on the Bridge Hub, a common good parachain that is being developed by Parity. And this proposal is a funding request for 28 months worth of the long-term runway for all operations for the Snowbridge team. The full proposal can be reviewed on the post. We're going to share all of these links also on Twitter, but you can also find the links and the discussions in the Direction channel or in the governance forums as well. Let's move to Polkadot. On Polkadot, we have also quite a few governance proposals. The first one being Referendum 81, which was approved and executed by the community. The Referendum 81 includes Polkadot Collective's Common Good parachain proposal on a lease on Polkadot network. So now the collective Common Good chain is up and running and building blocks. The first collective that we will see happening on the collective's parachain will probably be the Polkadot Alliance, which you will be able to find the links also in the tweets once we provide all of the information. But you can also find the discussion on Polk Assembly, and eventually I think the fellowship will also migrate to Polkadot once this is ready. Regarding the next proposals, Referendum 78 was also passed and executed. This is the first Polkadot nomination pool initial configuration. The initial configuration for these nomination pools that were added on Polkadot includes the following: 1 dot to join a pool, 200 dots to create a pool, and a maximum of 64 pools and 16,000 members in all pools. So we're very excited about this new feature that the staking team has been working on for quite some time. So super excited for more small token holders to join and participate in the shared security of the network. Related to the new configuration of nomination pools, there was a second proposal that is being voted as Referendum 86, and it will be up for vote for the next 20 days. This proposal tries to increase the minimum nomination limits for nominators in order to prevent too many waiting nominators to be created and incentivize small nominators to move to nomination pools. You can still vote on this proposal. It's up for vote right now on Polkadot for the next 20 days as referendum number 86. And then motion 291 was also passed by the council. This was not voted by the community as it was not necessary for the community to vote. The council voted on this one. And this includes a proposal for open permissionless collator registration and statement. So this includes public collators on statement in the same way as they are included on StateMine, following on our experience in Kusama network. Regarding treasury proposals, proposals. We have three that I want to point out and make sure that everyone knows about them. The first one is Referendum 77, which was passed, as we know, for the Gossamer Ongoing Development Grant. We've been talking about this in the other community calls when the proposal was up for discussion. Gossamer is a Polkadot host written in Go, and it's a framework to build and run nodes for different blockchain protocols compatible with the Polkadot ecosystem. And the overall goal is to provide the functionality needed to bring true client diversity to the Polkadot ecosystem. So this particular contextual information can be seen also in the governance forums, and you can look for it as Referendum 77, already passed by the community. Then we have motion 298 that is also up for vote and related to the Snowbridge proposal that is on Kusama as well. Although the Snowbridge proposal on Kusama is an OpenGov model, meaning that the community is already voting on it, on Polkadot we still have Governance 1 model. This means that this proposal, given the requested allocation, is up for vote by the council as an external motion, and then will be voted by the community if the council approves. This is the portion of the Snowbridge proposal that needs to be funded by the Polkadot Treasury. A portion of it will be funded by the Kusama Treasury and a portion by Polkadot Network. And the third one I want to point out as a Treasury proposal that is interesting to the community and passed this week is motion 296, already passed by the council and executed. This is a proposal for ink design audit by Open Zeppelin. Open Zeppelin has developed deep expertise in set industry standards for secure smart contract development in the past. And this is their first proposal on the Polkadot network. This community proposal, because it involves Open Zeppelin, but also several teams in the Polkadot ecosystem, including A-Star, BitCountry, OpenBrush, Pendulum Network, Fala Network, Water, and others. This proposal aims to audit and review the current design of the ink smart contract language together with Substrate Smart Contracts palette to recommend actions to be taken and improve the development experience and security of ink language. So all in all, those are the proposals that I like to point out to the community. We're going to be sharing all of the links for the OpenGov model. We will also be sharing a link for your suggestions and requests of changes in the OpenGov model so we can discuss them and eventually open the discussion and vote for the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Raul. And as Raul mentioned, I know that was a lot and a bunch of links and a bunch of information really fast. So after this Twitter space, tomorrow we typically tweet out a tweet thread with all of these relevant links to all of these proposals. So if you heard something and you wonder where is that located or what's the link, we will be posting that tomorrow. So without further ado, up next we have Darwinia Network to talk about their first light client-based Ethereum 2.0 substrate cross-chain message route and bridge, asset bridge.
Well, that's a bit of a handful, I guess. GM and GN, everyone. I hope you're having a great day or evening wherever you are. For those of you who aren't aware, Darwinia is a programmable cross-chain message network and one of only a few number of Substrate native projects working on trustless light client-based bridges between Polkadot and external networks. And it's a super exciting time for trustless bridges in the ecosystem, especially as we get closer to the launch of the beefy finality gadget that Parity's working on, which will further decentralize things. And in the meantime, at Darwinia, we've recently deployed the first light client-based Ethereum 2.0 to Substrate route, and Helix Bridge has incorporated it for use between Ethereum and Darwinia Network for a select few assets. Next, we're going to be extending the route for use with parachains and projects we've opened channels with, which will allow developers on those chains to call smart contracts on Ethereum using XEM and vice versa, using Darwinia's hybrid router and our SDK, which will allow developers to address simple endpoints from a single smart contract deployment. Overall interest in trustless bridges and interoperability and our integration queue is growing fast these days. So if you need to incorporate functionality or assets from external chains and security is a primary consideration, definitely feel free to reach out for more info.
Great, thank you so much. Is that it on your side, Megan?
That's all the updates we have for now. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Well, then let's hand it over to Equilibrium to talk about, they just recently closed beta, and let's hear what's next for Equilibrium.
Yeah, thanks very much. Thanks very much for having me here. I'm super excited to join today's call and share some perspective on our roadmap, what we are doing at Equilibrium and what we have accomplished just recently. You mentioned the closed beta. We had great success with that. But firstly, before I go into details of all these things, let me briefly introduce myself, give you some context on what we are exactly building in the .sum ecosystem. So my name is Alex. I'm the CEO and the founder with Equilibrium. I'm engineer by mathematics by training, and actually in crypto since for quite a long period of time, since 2016. We've been working on Equilibrium since 2020, so it's been 2.5 years almost of extensive building. And the idea behind Equilibrium is building the comprehensive DeFi platform, which includes a bunch of functionality, starting from like a lot of functions with working with ecosystem tokens and actually like it's one of the most the broadest, I guess, functionality that we have across DeFi platforms in the markets overall. Recently we have conducted the closed beta launch, and we actually been we have our own parachain slot that we have got back in the days in April, and it's been a long journey for us to roll out our developments into real production. So recently, respectively in October, we were conducting the closed beta launch for limited group of users, but the activity that we have seen was really impressive. We have first of all, we have launched the subscription for closed beta participation. We have received over 10,000 applications. Out of these 10,000 applicants, we have chosen roughly 4,800 of users who were accepted for the closed beta, and we have seen quite significant activity around our products that have been running for the closed beta. The idea of the closed beta was to let people play with virtual tokens on our side. So they received, like everyone who participated in the closed beta received certain kind of amount of these virtual assets, and they needed to play with these assets in the course of the closed beta, obviously. So it was completely risk-free. And there was also a team competition. So we have got 23 teams participating in that. All the teams were kind of either representing certain community in the .sum ecosystem or ecosystem projects. It was super interesting to see how guys were competing for like rewards that we were putting out in terms of this closed beta launch. Given that we have seen that kind of much activity around our closed launch, we're expecting that we'll actually replicate this success in terms of our full-scale launch, which will expectedly happen in the first half of December. So right now we are extensively preparing for that. And so if you're interested in our developments, you can actually visit our website. It's equilibrium.io. There we have all the links to socials where you can see further announcements on our production launch. We're super excited about that. Again, it was a long journey. Just recently, we have in terms of preparations for this production launch, we have also integrated with a multi-chain bridge, which is connected to us through Moonbeam. This is a really important development for us because we can smoothly and almost kind of in decentralized way transfer assets from other blockchains into Equilibrium. What's also important on our side, we will be opening XCM connections with all the parachain projects. We have partnership relations with including Moonbeam, Astar, and Intelay, and many others. So eventually, we will be establishing like XCM transfers across the Polkadot ecosystem, and eventually integrating all of these kind of assets that we get through these transfers into our products that we're rolling out. Yeah, that's I guess pretty much it from my side. Thank you very much for having me.
Wonderful. Thanks, Alex. And up next, we have Origin Trail to talk about Project Magnify.
Hello from our side. This time it's two people from Origin Trail, both myself, Giga, and Tomasz from Origin Trail as founders. It's a pleasure to be here. I believe this is one of our first calls within the Polkadot band, and it's great to be here and share exciting updates about Origin Trail. Just a little bit about Origin Trail for those who don't know us. We are an ecosystem dedicated to making global economy at large work sustainably by organizing humanity's most important assets. And we deal extensively with the issue of trust in supply chains, in trust generally in global economy. And trust essentially has two enemies. It's bad character and also bad data or bad information. And as you have seen and witnessed right now with all these FTX debacles and similar things, and also within supply chains and global economy, we cannot eliminate the bad character. But what we can tackle is essentially bad information. We can tackle bad data. And this is something that Origin Trail is taking a stab at. And what we're essentially doing and how we're dealing with the problem of bad data is by harnessing the power of decentralized knowledge graph. And decentralized knowledge graph is a merge between two technologies, blockchain on one side, and also the knowledge graph technology, which is being used by the likes of Google to connect information, to organize information, and make it discoverable, verifiable, and valuable. So we took both elements, and what we do, we bring supply chain documents, consumer goods information, digital collectibles, whatever asset, and we bring it on the decentralized knowledge graph, making it discoverable, verifiable as Web3 assets, and thus driving transparency and trust. We've been around for a while now. Origin Trail as a Web3 project has been up and running for 5 years. And we're especially glad and proud to be able to deploy now Origin Trail on Polkadot. It was previously deployed on several other chains, but right now it has gotten its own Origin Trail specific chain, its own parachain. It has been live since summer, and right now, not only we're launching one network this year, which is Origin Trail parachain, but also the second network, which is the decentralized knowledge graph V6. And the decentralized knowledge graph V6 is going to primarily use Polkadot to bring quite important traffic from global supply chains where we have been traditionally involved. One such example is a group of retailers from the US. You might know some of them, like Walmart, JCPenney, Costco. So what they have been using Origin Trail for, they were exchanging information about audit reports on on dozens of thousands of factories importing to the United States. So traffic like this, assets like those are going to transition from other chains where Origin Trail has been based on up until recently to V6, which is primarily going to launch on Polkadot. And also launching on OT parachain on Polkadot and effectively on the DKG, on the decentralized knowledge graph, is a Project Magnify. Now, what Project Magnify does, it allows for visualization of all the assets, of all the information that has been created on the decentralized knowledge graph. And it's very easy to use. Anybody can use it, not only companies that we have traditionally been working with. You're all welcome to join our Telegram or Discord. and see what has been achieved so far. It's an entirely community-driven Project Magnify, and it will essentially go live from the beta version in which it is currently on the fully fledged public launch sometimes in the beginning of January. And another exciting thing which is going to precede that, and it's mostly I think the community of Origin Trail is eagerly waiting for that, is the V6 launch, for which we are within this and the next week waiting to certainly determine when in December we can have this happy event of releasing the beast called the DKG V6 on the Polkadot. I would now invite Tomasz to add a few things about Origin Trail in general or the Project Magnify. It was really lovely to talk with you, and we're glad to continue this conversation in one of our channels whenever you feel eager to join.
Yeah, I think you did a great job already covering most of the topics. So not much left for me to except to say hi to everyone, and again maybe extend the invitation. Really, with Project Magnify especially, it's something that's a very much a collaborative effort. Currently, it is within the closed beta group of the Origin Trail community that are already creating assets on the current testnet version of V6, which will then transition to the mainnet, and they're already creating value for the network as well as value for themselves. And as a project, it's really directed towards the values of the core values of Web3, of trust, of ownership, and it introduces certain other business models to what we were used to so far within the tech industry. So yeah, like the website for Project Magnify will be projectmagnify.io. So you can go there and check it out, and hope to see you, hope to bump into you into our in our Discord or Telegram. So yeah, that's thanks for today.
Wonderful, thank you. And if you guys haven't noticed yet, at the top of the screen here, for each speaker, we're pinning the relevant tweets or links. So if anything is of interest to you, or you're wanting to follow the project or learn more, you can just simply click on the tweet here, and you won't even leave the community call, and you can give them a follow. You can like the tweet, you can read it for more information. So up next, we also have Turn to talk about light clients and the future of trustless bridging.
Yeah, hi everyone, Maciej from Turn here. Yeah, thank you so much for having us today. Seems like we're fitting in perfectly in today's theme, talking about light clients. Turn is all about bringing interoperable execution with a fair safe aspect to it, and on our way to provide this heterogeneous platform for multi-chain execution. We've been developing and experimenting a bunch with light clients, and while doing so, we also discovered that essentially we can just bring light clients on-chain. This stands a little bit into opposition to what we see currently, where light clients are usually the off-chain agents, primarily because the computation on-chain is very expensive on Ethereum. Also, light clients need to store a significant amount of storage information, and on most of the blockchains, there's also quite expensive. Also, there's different signature schemes on different blockchain, and usually while developing smart contract, you only have the cheap way of verifying a single signature scheme. But in Substrate, assuming that we already paid for a parachain slot, the storage is cheap, and really nothing stands on the way of bringing on the light client on-chain. And this is what we've been developing and experimenting for now. For now, we have a light client that is operating on Grandpa, but we've been also investigating and started early experiments with the Casper Ethereum 2.0 light clients, and also in Substrate we can just implement and easily access multiple different signature schemes. So Schnorker for different parachains, Edward curls for Ethereum-like blockchains, and ECDSA for Bitcoin-like projects. So this was just a sneak peek. There's gonna be a kind of more detailed rundown throughout, bringing on the light clients on chain on our talk on Sub-Zero, which if you have a chance to join at Lisbon, yeah, it would be lovely to see you guys and catch up in person. Also, little updates to our turn testers on Rococo, who finally put the Rococo parachain of Turn back on track. It got stuck the last week on the Rust runtime upgrade, but likely we patched all of the necessary issues, and the update on Rococo, it was bringing bidding for the smart contracts and the very safe execution. So essentially, this last features that we added, it goes hand in hand in the very much so like open system for very safe execution, when we provide the system where open executors can bid for the cheapest possible execution of transactions to the remote blockchains. So yeah, super happy to join today's call, and possibly look forward to see you guys and hear from you on Sub-Zero event. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. Up next, we have Zoe to talk about the Polkadot events bounty.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I will now going from deep tech into more, again, like a governance talk here. I'm Zoe. I'm Global Head Ambassador of Events for the Polkadot Network and one of 3 curators for the Events Bounty, which I would like to shortly introduce you to today. To give you a bit of a background how this bounty was created, the Events Bounty got initiated within the vision of decentralizing the Polkadot Council, which means to actually create initiatives that focus on specific areas or have more expertise in specific areas. And as some of you guys also noticed or realized, that there was a big increase of event submissions to the Treasury to request funding, and to have also the Council deciding on what kind of events should be funded from the Treasury. And this big workload, or this was a big workload for the Council itself, and also a challenge because it was sometimes difficult for the Council to decide what kind of events are actually valuable to the community and which are beneficial for the overall Polkadot brand. And this was the initial thought about creating, let's say, a smaller council, a council or group that has more expertise in the events for the Polkadot community. And this is how the events bounty got actually initiated. We have, it is a community events reward bounty with child bounty distribution. This is also very special because it's the second bounty that is actually using the child bounty mechanism in the Polkadot ecosystem, besides the anti-scam bounty. And this bounty is live now since, or active since 3 months. We have received 1 million DOT, and we have 3 curators in this events bounty, which are on one hand side Elodie. She's community manager of Web3 Foundation, and she also leads the overall Polkadot ambassador program. So she's very close in knowing what kind of events and meetups are initiated or hosted by Polkadot ambassadors. And then there's Mark, who is also global head ambassador for the overall events in Polkadot, as well. Myself and Mark and I are leading these kind of events for the Polkadot community. So we have, besides the council, a bit of a better insights on what kind of events are beneficial to the community, and also know what kind of requirements should be actually met to execute and host successful events that overall represent the Polkadot brand and expand the Polkadot brand to everyone that wants to know about it. We have 3 different categories. I don't want to go into this into detail, but overall, we are supporting on one hand side all ambassadors, people that have an ambassador status and that want to host meetups and smaller get-togethers. And we also have a category that covers bigger events such as conferences, hackathons, or side events. And these kind of events can be organized by any community member, someone that has a relationship to Polkadot, even parachain team members. So we have created a process that makes it much easier for, or let's say leaner for the people to actually apply for funding. But it doesn't mean that we have less requirements. So we are still pretty strict in seeing what kind of requirements this event should meet to actually be supported in funding from in DOT and from the Treasury. So to just give you a bit of overview here, over the last 3 months, we have funded over 20 events, which is a combination of conferences as well as meetups and side events. Also now for Sub-Zero that's coming up, there were a lot of submissions to fund these kind of side events. And we have also a public page where you can actually look into this. But if you would like to learn more about how this bounty works, how you as a parachain team member, as a Polkadot ambassador, or just the active community member can request funding and rewards for doing activities such as events for the ecosystem, I would encourage you to join our Crowdcast event, which we are hosting on the 8th of December. It will be hosted on Polkadot's official Crowdcast platform. And in this session, we are going much more into detail how this whole bounty mechanism is working from a technical perspective, but also to give you more insights on how you can actually go through the process to get funding for events. But we also cover other child bounties, such as the anti-scam bounty and the moderation bounty. So thank you so much, and I look forward to see a lot of you guys on Crowdcast and answer more of your questions there.
Thank you so much, Zoe. And again, yes, if you guys have more questions, make sure to attend that Crowdcast on December 8th on Polkadot's Crowdcast. So last but certainly not least, we have Bifrost and Moonbeam here to talk about their XCM integration.
Bifrost, do you want to kick it off?
Yep, no problem. Thanks, sir. Greetings, everyone. And this is Tyrone from Bifrost. I'm the product manager of Bifrost, and we're very happy to be here today. Bifrost actually recently focusing on the building of cross-chain staking scenarios and liquid utilization for staking derivatives. And Bifrost is actually deployed on Polkadot and Kusama Powerchain, but it actually running the same architecture, native token, and business model, so which will be merged to one Powerchain by using substrate common bridge in the future, and which is also the direction that we are recently evaluating and researching about it. And recently we already launched the scenarios for Polkadot and Kusama staking mechanism. This has been a month ago, and accumulating much of liquidity for much of the derivative DeFi use cases in the ecosystem. And today we're talking about the Bifrost and Moonbeam's use cases. That is also much of the focusing on the XCM use cases, between a dot sum powerchain and the EVM compatible powerchain and is EVM protocols actually. So which among some of experimental examples and the testing and some of others have been pushed to the production. So I think the first one and as you introduce is we are actually promoting the cross-chainable staking for the collectors for the Powerchain staking mechanism. So which is we are launching the first ever Powerchain staking derivative for Moonriver and Moonbeam ecosystem by initializing and utilizing the cross-chain XCM delegating to the Powerchain collectors. So bringing the stake feature Powerchain native token with DeFi feature. And I think this is the first one I want to introduce with you. Um, the second one is adding the previous point I just mentioned about. We are actually deploying around the XCM cross-chain governance by using a PowerChain native token derivatives, which means we are pushing around remotely, executing the governance on the PowerChain to the other one. So this is actually under the experimental stage, and which means the function while leaving the governance feature for the staking derivative. And the third one is we are actually expanding the DeFi XCM utilization use cases with EVM DeFi protocols and creating remotely XCM function calling for cross-chain swap, liquidation, and derivative minting and interactions and so on. So interacting with Moonbeam, currently in the production we have launched, as I said, the staking derivative of Moonbeam and Moonriver ecosystem, and the remotely calling for the governance function and the calling for EVM smart contract functions around the DeFi use case are still in the experimental stage. So I think that's what we're recently researching and developing about. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much, Tyrone. Well said. So my name is Kevin Nielsen. I'm a developer relations engineer at Moonbeam, and thank you so much for having me here on the Polkadot community call. So as you may know, Moonbeam is a platform for cross-chain connected applications that unites functionality and assets from across many different blockchains. And Moonbeam's connectivity to other chains is enabled by XCM within Polkadot. And we're also focused on connecting to other ecosystems outside of Polkadot, such as Ethereum, Avalanche, and others. And that connectivity is enabled by integrations with general message passing providers, also known as GMP protocols. That includes ones like Axelar, Wormhole, Layer 0, Hyperlane, and others. So as Tyrone was saying, Moonbeam opened up XCM channels with Bifrost. In addition to bringing the Bifrost native token to Moonbeam as XCBNC, you can now use that in DeFi and various applications. Glimmer is also available on Bifrost. And Bifrost has created this vGlimmer token, which represents staked Glimmer on Moonbeam. And then you can use that vGlimmer in a variety of different applications. One important distinction between vGlimmer and Glimmer is that the reserve chain for vGlimmer is Bifrost, not Moonbeam. So this means that vGlimmer originates and depends upon Bifrost. So if we wanted to transfer vGlimmer back to Moonbeam, it will just need to be added as an external XC20 and then approved by Democracy in order for it to go to Moonbeam as vGlimmer. So we're extremely proud of this collaboration with Bifrost, and definitely think that it demonstrates the power of application-specific chains working in conjunction with XCM. And I do have a couple more XCM-related topics to discuss today. Part of that is the XCM SDK. So Moonbeam introduced an XCM SDK within the last month or two. And this enables developers to integrate into their applications the ability to deposit and withdraw assets to Moonbeam, Moonriver, and also to and from other parachains in the ecosystem. So, and as well as from the relay chain. And in this case, you don't need to worry about the intricacies of XCM. You don't have to build a multi-location structure. Instead, you just have to identify the asset that you'd like to work with, and then the origin or the destination chain, and then the sending account's signer. So if you're sending from Moonbeam, you would use Ethers.js. If you're sending from the relay chain or another parachain, then you'd most likely use Polkadot.js as your signer. And so this XCM SDK includes functions, depositing, withdrawing, initiation ones, and things like that. You can subscribe to changes in a user's XC asset balances. And we have many different parachain assets and parachains that are listed within the XCM SDK. And it's all open source, And so a team can add their information and get supported very easily. And last but certainly not least, I want to mention the Illuminate Hackathon. So this is one of the largest and the most ambitious hackathons that we've run to date, because it includes some of the largest players in the GMP protocol space, including Axelar, Hyperlane, Layer Zero, and Wormhole. So the bounties are focused around building a connected contract use case using Moonbeam and the respective GMP protocol. They're not very prescriptive, so they're quite open-ended. You can do just about anything you want. There are broad open categories. So there are things like using a connected contract use case regarding DeFi, governance, most creative use cases, etc. And if you haven't tested out, connected contracts yet, I highly encourage you to check it out. Jeremy from the Moonbeam team has built a series of blog posts, which are great tutorials for everything you need to know to get started. And typically in these blog posts, you'll send a message from Moonbeam to another chain, and you'll say like "Hello world," but you'll learn exactly how the different GMP protocols work, and you'll see that they're not intimidating. They're quite easy, to get started with. And this hackathon is not a competition, between the various GMP protocols. Rather, it's a collaborative exhibition and a showcase of all the different GMP protocols that are integrated with Moonbeam. And on the hackathon, you can choose one, you can choose multiple bounties. You can have your application working with different GMP protocols, and that's what Prime Protocol is doing. And they recently demoed their testnet at Illuminate. So I highly recommend checking out Prime Protocol. So I think that wraps it up for Moonbeam's updates for today. Thanks again for having us.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining. And thank you to all of our speakers that joined today. So those that may be tuned in late, you can also listen to the recording. It will be made available directly after the end of this call for 30 days on Twitter and indefinitely on Polkadot's YouTube channel. And so for those that are just tuned in today, we heard from Raul, Polkadot council member, who gave an update of all the governance motions and proposals for for both Polkadot and Kusama this past month. We heard from Darwinian Network and their light client-based ETH 2.0 substrate cross-chain bridge. We heard from Equilibrium and their closed beta and what's next. We heard from Origin Trail and their project Magnify and even what's next for Origin Trail. We heard from Turn and light clients and the future of trustless bridging. We heard from Zoe about the Polkadot events bounty, and we heard from Bifrost and Moonbeam about their XCM integration, and also Moonbeam about the Ignite hackathon, or no, Illuminate hackathon happening right now. So make sure to check all of those out. There'll also be a tweet thread recapping this space with all relevant links for you guys. And next, actually tomorrow, because this month was such a loaded month and our ecosystem is busy every month with a bunch of updates, we needed to have 2 community calls this month due to the amount of speakers and updates. So tomorrow let me just confirm the time here really quick. Tomorrow from 4 to 5 p.m. CEST, so 1 hour before this, we will also hear from Subwallet, from Polkadex, from Polkadot naming systems, name system, Crust Network, Astar, and Efinity with also their updates. So make sure to set a reminder for that and join tomorrow. If not, catch the recap. And thank you to all of our speakers that tuned in today. All of them are very busy people, and we appreciate you taking the time to come and update the Polkadot community on all the amazing things that you guys are working on. So we'll see you all tomorrow, and thank you for tuning in.